Everyone has that emotional intelligence. I think that we're just not aware that we are in control of ourselves. And the first thing that you have to really identify, like, let's say that you said something about me, but if I know it ain't true, why am I getting mad? No matter if you're going to go spread it, or no matter if you're telling somebody else, like, we know ourselves, or you should know yourself. Yeah. At the end of the day, and you talk about this, like, you can lie to other people, but you can't look in that mirror and lie to yourself, because yourself know the real you.
Truth is, can't nobody stop us. Truth is, can't nobody stop us.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Mentality Podcast. This is your co-host, Lee, Mr. Aspire to Inspire.
And this is your favorite, Austin, a.k.a. Mr. Obsessed with anything positive, obsessed with anything that got to do with you reaching your journey. And today, we got a special topic today because we want to talk about controlling yourself, and not just only controlling yourself, but controlling your emotions and anger, because in the climate that we live in today, there's a lot of domestic violence and domestic abuse between couples.
It is, bro.
You know, and I think that we need to touch upon it because a lot of people don't even know that you can be triggered by some things, and the way you react can be a negative effect to any situation.
Right. Now, it can be a negative effect to a situation, but you got to think, like, we start the foundation of it. I think it's the control of yourself when things don't go your way or when things offend you. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got to start thinking, like, why do those things offend me? Like, what makes me feel anger from somebody else? Like, if somebody else can make me feel a certain way, they now control a feeling that I might not have had at that moment. You know what I'm saying? So how do you think that baseline of it starts with controlling yourself?
Well, I think it all starts with just the understanding. Like, what you just said was, like, right on point. If someone can make me act a certain way, when I say make, I say that really like tongue in cheek, because can't nobody really make you do anything, but the perception or the ideal of someone making you do something because of what they say to you, that's lack of control. And I think you have to understand that, okay, you are in control of your own emotions. Like, we say this all the time on this show. You are in control of your own self. You are in control of your own emotions. Can't no one make you do anything. But let's say, to play devil advocate, let's say that me and Leanthony gets into it, right? Let's say that he says something to trigger me that makes me angry. Well, no, I just made myself angry because I allowed whatever he said to trigger what was inside of me. So I think. But really, it was just you making your own self mad, because can't nobody make you mad. So understanding that you are in control at all times, that's how you really avoid a lot of situations.
I mean, but I honestly, bro, I'm gonna play devil's advocate. I think it's easier said than done, bro.
For sure,
If
I agree.
You've been in those situations and you've been, you know what I'm saying, like, something can really rub you the wrong way, or somebody can say something that, you know what I'm saying, that you want to defend. Like, if they say something about, I don't know, your spouse or your kid or something like that, like, you know, you going to war for that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So in those instances, how can you really control that? You know what I'm saying? Like, I know you can control it because you still you at the end of the day, but I don't think a lot of people have that emotional intelligence to say, like, okay, cool, I'm gonna let that slide. So what do you put in place for?
Well, I kind of want to correct you on one thing. I think everyone has that emotional intelligence. I think that we're just not aware that we are in control of ourselves. And the first thing that you have to really identify, like, let's say that you said something about me, but if I know it ain't true, why am I getting mad? No matter if you're going to go spread it, or no matter if you're telling somebody else, like, we know ourselves, or you should know yourself. Yeah. At the end of the day, and you talk about this, like, you can lie to other people, but you can't look in that mirror and lie to yourself, because yourself know the real you. Yeah. So at the end of the day, like, when people speak harm to you or people talking crazy to you, understand, like, you are supposed to be in control, and everyone has the ability to be able to have this intelligence to know, like, okay, well, this person's only just trying to make me mad, but the only way I can get mad if I make myself mad, because if you said something about me that wasn't true, I know it's easy said or done. I definitely agree with that. But at the end of the day, if you know it's not true, like, what's the use of working yourself up about it? Yeah. I think people are so oppressed in their mind because they are so afraid of what other people might think. Oh, well, if he said I'm weak and somebody else hears that, now they gonna think that. Yeah. Well, at the end of the day, people gonna think whatever they want to think. I just think it's important for us and to all practice self-control. And you talk about this a lot. That's why when I love when you bring these topics up. Self-discipline, you talk about that a lot, and I think that we have to be in tune with that self-discipline, because it is hard to hear it, but if you know it's not true, or if you know that, let's say it is true, right, whatever they say about you, you have a choice to react negatively, and you have a choice to react positively. I just think you have to have that self-control to understand, like, okay, well, if I act negatively, nothing but negativity gonna come from it.
That's it, bro.
You know, so I think we should all just practice that self-control for real.
Yeah, no, I definitely think that, man. And like, to say that you're in control, what's the point of, what's the anger gonna do for you? You know what I'm saying? Like, if I get angry and I go, like, what's gonna happen at that point?
What's the cause and effect of you getting angry?
Exactly, bro. Like, if I get angry, if you angry, you know what I'm saying, and that energy transfer over here, and now I'm angry. Okay, I'm angry. Now what? You know what I'm saying?
Nothing's positive is gonna come from it.
You know,
and we're all guilty of it. At the end of the day, we're not perfect, but at the end of the day, you have to really practice it. Like, and a lot of people don't understand that. Like, you have to practice self-discipline. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you have to practice controlling your anger. And I know a lot of times you can't really duplicate the process of you like practicing someone talking. But if you ever run into a situation where you are trying to be better for yourself and someone does trigger you or say different things, that's the perfect time to practice. It's like, you know what? I know what this is going to bring, but instead of reacting, I'm going to listen. And I'm going to take in what they say, and I'm going to be slow to respond, because you can negate any situation by just taking your time with it.
Yeah, no, definitely, bro. And then, like, even you got to start to realize, like, it develops at a young age. You know what I'm saying? Because I was like that. I used to have, like, kind of anger issues with things don't go my way, or I didn't like certain things. Like, I would throw tantrums, bro.
Right.
But that's what I seen. Like, I seen, like, you know, okay, I'm gonna blow up, and that's what I knew. So my brain didn't have any other reaction to give, but outside of what I put in. So as I got older, I started to realize, you know, those things don't really bring any positivity out the situation. Or if I'm angry and I go and punch a wall or something, like, I just got to damage the wall. Now what?
Now you have to pay for it. You know what I mean?
I got to pay for it. I got to fix it now. If I do something crazy, now I got to pay for the consequences of it. So in that self-control, just realize that this still your life. You know what I'm saying? Like, you going to make mistakes, but you strive towards getting better every day. So as you start to become more aware, right? When you become conscious, you become aware. As you become more aware, you start to self-reflect on you and how you control yourself. So I'm not saying you can just flip a switch and you'll never be angry or never be emotional, you know what I'm saying? But over time, you develop those positive habits.
How do you become more conscious?
You become more conscious just by thinking, bro. Like I said, I think we touched on this last episode. Like, people so caught up in the world that they on the go. You know what I'm saying? They don't sit with themselves. So if I can sit with myself, bro, and I can go visit something that made me angry, and my brain is going to react in a certain way that I'll react in reality. You know what I'm saying? So how do I change that? When I sit down with myself and I think about something that makes me angry, how can I change that feeling behind it? Because that's how your brain works, bro. It just change that feeling.
Changing that feeling. That's very important, because once you change the way you feel about something, or how you think about something, or how you even perceive something,
it's all in your head, bro.
You understand that you can control how to navigate your feelings around that. Like, I tell people this right here, like, the reason why it's so hard for, you know what I'm saying, myself included, for people to like be consistent with working out, because the way you think about it. I gotta be up there for 30 minutes, 60 minutes, man. It's gonna hurt. Man, it's gonna make my body gonna be heavy, man. I'm gonna be tired, I'm gonna be sweating, I'm gonna be yada yada yada. But let's say that you change your opinion and your perception and say, you know what, I have to get up there for 30 minutes because I'm gonna be healthier. I'm gonna be able to live here longer with my children. I'm gonna be able to, you know what I mean, have a longer, healthy life. If you say that versus the other, man, I gotta be up there for 30 minutes. If you change the way you look at it and how you perceive it, everything will start to align, and you start to understand, like, so I really control that thought process and that reaction. I control whether to be motivated or unmotivated. And a lot of times, like, people got so much stuff going on in their lives, like, it's hard to stay motivated. Trust me. But at the end of the day, you have to just change the way you think about that. And I think that's how you really start that journey. And I kind of want to talk about, because in this climate that we live in today, bro, I feel like it's really like heavily predicated on like domestic violence. And when I say domestic violence, I feel like the first thing the people do, especially in relationships, is get into violence, because they don't have their understanding of control and how to control their emotions, you know. And a lot of times it comes from this person probably know you better than a lot of other people when you're in a relationship with, so they know what button to push. Bro. Like, okay, so I'm gonna push this button. So a lot of times, how can we prevent disputes in our relationship that can lead up to domestic violence, so we can be able to, like, just live a healthier life. And before you answer that, I can have a 2-part question. Can you kind of explain to the audience what is domestic violence? Because I think a lot of people are kind of, on the fence about it, but like, can you explain like what's domestic violence?
Yeah, so for my interpretation, domestic violence is any physical or emotional altercation. You know what I'm saying? So if I'm damaging you physically, like I'm putting my hands on you, that's definitely domestic violence. And I feel like no man or woman should put their hands on anybody. You know what I'm saying? Unless you defending yourself, but outside of that, like that's definitely not do not endorse that in any way, to put your hands on anybody to make yourself feel heard or seen. You know what I'm saying? Because I feel like a lot of people do that. Like if I put my hands on you, then you're gonna respect me or fear me. Like that's like a power move, and that's not cool. And also like the emotional abuse too. Like, people can be manipulative. People can get in your, like you say, if you live with somebody and they know you in and out. They know everything about you. So if I can tell you this about you, then that's gonna trigger you. I know it's gonna trigger you, so it take you to those places, So I think those things are definitely domestic when it comes to relationships.
I agree. I agree 100%, and and a lot of people don't understand, like, altercation can start, and domestic violence can definitely start, especially when like verbal altercations. People don't understand like how you talk to somebody. You know what I'm saying? Can be considered assault. You know what I'm saying? Saying certain things, you know what I'm saying? And even domestic violence, if you're talking to someone a certain type of way, especially crazy, like that stuff leads into bigger physical altercations, domestic violence. So, and it's not one-sided. Like women, like I really want all my women that are listening right now to understand that domestic violence is not okay. It's not okay from a man perspective or a woman perspective, because a lot of women, are keen to probably putting their hands on their man and using that, oh well, he's a man, he can't hit me, or you're a man, if you hit me you're wrong, but I'm a woman, you should be able to take it. Like, it goes both ways. Abuse is abuse at the end of the day, verbal or physical. You have to understand that abuse leads to like other bigger altercation that you don't want a part of.
Yeah. And then you also got to think about, like, when it comes to those certain things, you got to break those trauma habits. You know what I'm saying? Because sometimes you might have seen that growing up. And the more you get involved with those things, the more you try to replicate them in the new relationships and the next person. And, you feed the energy to that person. And, you know what I'm saying, you just do what you did in the past. So if you put your hands on people in the past, or if you've seen that growing up, you think that's okay. And some people might think that's a form of love. You know what I'm saying? So
that's deep.
That's definitely not a form of love.
That's deep.
Because I don't know, whatever passion is, whatever that is, bro, that's definitely not a form of love. And if you are in any domestic relationship, I advise you to get out of that. You know what I'm saying? Because those things lead down a road that, you know what I'm saying, you can't really come back from. So, and that just takes me back to like that self-control, like, being able to control yourself.
Man, that kind of brings me to an interesting point. You said that, especially if you're listening right now, domestic violence is not okay. It's not anything that's acceptable, and it's nothing that you should accept. But I have a question for you, because you kind of brought me back to like when I was a child, and I don't know if you ever heard this, but like, man, I'm whoop you because I love you. Now, you know what I'm saying? I'm about to whoop you with a belt because I love you. What's your stance on how you discipline your children? Because is there a thin line between, well, okay, I'm not gonna say a thin line. Is physical discipline acceptable? Is it okay? And is it showing that you love them?
Yes. I can say for me, bro, yes. I used to get my butt whooped, bro. I used to get a whooping with a belt. And it did, because,
Only with a belt?
Yeah, only with a belt. I ain't never got no hands put over there. I don't know if I.
Yeah, you never got slapped, punched, stitch a cord.
Nah, we ain't.
Shoe.
Maybe a shoe. Me and my sister had. Me and my sister, we were young. We used to fight over the remote. I think one day my dad, he had a big old Timberland boot. We was in the hallway scrambling, and all this thing, I see this big old boot come down, hit me in the head.
But what was it out of love?
It was out of love, bro.
How you know it was out of love?
I guess.
Hey, I love you, but this gonna hurt.
It's super to come at you. But yeah, man. I think it's okay to discipline your child, but I think the first things first is you should hear your child out, because sometimes like if you especially got a younger child, your child might be adolescents to where they don't understand what they're doing,
Right.
and the consequences behind it. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? So before any reoccurring things happen, as far as like you doing the same thing over and over, I'm gonna sit down, I'm gonna talk to you, I'm gonna discipline you in a way that you understand. Now, if you understand, you're still doing the same things over and over, then
Well, here's my other question. 2-part question. How is that discipline really correcting them? And does that lead to trauma like later on in their life?
I don't think it'll lead to trauma. Now, I feel like if you physically abusing your child, like you putting your hands on them or you doing some extra stuff, yeah. But if you give a child a spanking or something like that, and you tell them, hey, that's not what you're supposed to do, then that's just me, bro. Like I'm like, if my son is out of line, or if he go break a TV, if he break a laptop, you know what I'm saying? Like, come on, man, you know better than that, right? You know what I'm saying? Now, if you do it again, like, oh yeah, you figure.
Now, I'm not, and people that are listening right now, these are only the question because I want everyone to, like, you know what I'm saying, just to hear out. But so if physical discipline is acceptable, depending on what they do, obviously, and you did say that you'll talk to them before and you'll try to recorrect it. The reason why I'm asking, how is physical discipline even acceptable? Because I'm no stranger to it. I got the brakes beat off of me. Plenty of times. You know what I'm saying? Hands, feet, extension cords and stuff like that. But as we talking about it, I want to kind of preference everyone to say. I mean, to like, man, really think about that. Like, how is disciplining them with a physical object, a belt, any different from using your hands? Or is it more acceptable for, okay, I'm gonna get a belt and whoop you with instead of whooping my hand? Like, me personally, the older I get, and I have disciplined my kids before in similar fashion, and I'm not proud of it because the older I get, I don't really find it as acceptable to me. And and growing up, bro, I mean, I got the worst of the worst of it. You know what I'm saying? Like, you ain't never got a whooping coming out the bathtub. You know what I mean? So, yeah. But the reason why I'm saying these things, because if you look at it, I don't really know if it's. I haven't did any study, but I don't really know if physical discipline is just the best way to discipline children. Simply because I do think it creates on down the line trauma, especially with that fear. Like,
yeah, I can see what you're saying.
I got whooped, and like when I got disciplined. So if anything did happen, I remember one time, bro, me and my friends accidentally broke a window. So me and kids just hitting rocks with a bat. You think I went to go tell my mama?
Probably not. Because
of that perception of that fear of like, well, I might get disciplined. She might not be understanding. She might not see it as, okay, y'all just kids. I couldn't really like advocate for my mom being understanding that day. You know what I mean? Because she, she's a human. She goes through whatever she's going, and she might not have seen that. Okay, you guys were just being kids. So I think that it does causes some type of trauma that we as parents don't really understand. And I think that needs to be spoken about more. And and now the older I'm getting, I don't really like it because, I remember I spanked my daughter, and like the way she looked at me, man, it hurt my feelings. I was just like, man, like, is it really right? You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah. and I understand where the parent wanted to come from. But I just think that it kind of blurs the line of like your kid starting to understand, like, well, daddy just beat or whooped me with a belt because I did something bad at school. It's just like, it's kind of hard for me to like distinguish that from like, yes, I know you love them, but is it out of love at that moment? I don't know.
I'm gonna tell you, for me, bro, I appreciate the whoopings, bro. Like I said, when I did get whoopings, I stopped getting whoopings in like when I was a kid, bro, like in third grade or something like that.
Yeah.
But when I got whoopings, bro, it kept me grounded. You know what I'm saying? Like it wasn't. I didn't get whoopings out of anger. Like now, if you get beat with extension cords, you getting irons thrown at you. That's out of anger. You know what I'm saying? Like,
bro, I don't think I never know nobody get a whooping. They smiling like, hey, I got a whooping today, Johnny. Whoosh, whoosh.
No, I'm taking my anger out on you. Like, if I'm already angry and you gave me a trigger to make me angry, and I take it out on you because you did.
But how do you distinguish that though? Like, how does someone say I'm a physically whoop you and it not be coming from a place of anger? Like, it's just hard for me.
Me personally, I ain't never seen somebody just talk to their kids and their kids just get it correct all the time. Like, hey, don't do that again. Like,
that's true. That's 100% true. 100% true.
I'm gonna do it over and over and over. I'd rather stop it now. And not even, like I'm saying, I'm not doing that out of anger. Like, if you're doing over and over, if you're doing something excessive, yeah, bro, you gonna get whooping, bro. Like you gonna get popped, bro. You know what I'm saying? And that's just me. Yeah, you gonna get popped, and when you think about doing that, you gonna remember that pop, and that's in the story. You know what I'm saying? But now, yeah, if I talk to you, and it don't nothing change, then what?
What it was the same.
I'd rather do it now before you get older, and especially black kids in America, bro. Like, nah, bro. I'd rather stop it now. And when you think about making those decisions, you be like, you know what I'm saying? That it wasn't out of anger. It was just like, hey, Dad did talk to me. I do remember getting a whooping before. Why would I do that? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's just how I was raised, bro. And I'm not saying I'm trying to do the same thing as I was raised, but I know me now and the growth that I've had. And like I said, I appreciate the whoopings, bro. Like, okay, yeah. You know what? I was out of line. You know what I'm saying? You did talk to me.
But as a man, but as a grown man, you appreciate it. But as a kid, and the reason why I'm saying is because kids don't really understand like and fully, because obviously their brain ain't fully developed to really like understand the meaning behind whoopings. But I do think that it could possibly cause like potential trauma, especially because all I know is this: energy can't be created or destroyed; it just transfers. So when you're converting that physical energy into your children, you know what I mean? They are going to just, pass the energy down. Now, I understand the reasoning behind whooping and disciplining your children. I'm just saying, me as an adult now, I'm starting to see more traumatizing effect from it, more so than ever. I'm not saying that it's the better way to do it just by talking to them, because kids gonna make mistakes. You whoop a kid and they still make mistakes. You know how many whoopings I got and I still bump my head, but that's neither here or there. All I'm saying is that for parents to really think about how you discipline your kids, and I can't tell nobody how to raise their household. All I'm saying that when you do discipline your kid on that type of level, just think about the effect that it may have on your children, because that never made me feel even more comfortable to go potentially make a mistake as a kid and go talk to him, because like I thought about that discipline in action and it feel good. I don't know nobody that got a whooping ever say, man, yeah, daddy, man, that feel good, man. You sure got me today, like, you know what I mean? So I just be trying to get parents to really understand that, for one, don't take the anger that you already have mixed with trying to discipline your kids. Try not to intertwine that. You know what I mean? However that may work, try not to intertwine that, because like Lance said, you just taking your anger out on your kid if you do it that way. So, you know what I'm saying? I just want parents to be aware of that for real.
Yeah, like I say, it's different ways of discipline. Like, it's not one all be all.
Yeah,
one way
for
is
sure.
not the right way. Whatever works. But what we saying is that control.
Control.
If
that's
you
it.
can, always talk to your kids first. Like, I'd rather talk to them, understand what they thought process. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to just jump to conclusions. I think that's back in the old days. Man, you ain't got nothing to say.
You ain't got a right to say nothing.
You ain't got a right. You better listen, and then you get a whooping, and then you don't even know why you got the whoop.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
You don't even understand why.
Anger. You know what I'm saying? Like, nah, I ain't with that. But like discipline, and if you can catch it early, if you can get like some kind of understanding, and the kids now they smart, bro. They know right from wrong. Like if you instill in your kids right from wrong, and allow them to make mistakes. You know what I'm saying? Like everything shouldn't be a whooping, bro. Like everything shouldn't be.
And I agree with that. Everything
like,
should not be a whooping.
Hounding your kids on every mistake, because they live in life just like how you had to live life. You know what I'm saying? So let your kids live life. Let them learn. Let them grow. Don't stunt them growth. Don't stunt their growth. You know what I'm saying? I don't like to stunt my son's growth. I like him to explore and
let him be a kid.
Let him be a kid. Yeah,
let him make mistakes.
Yeah, you're gonna make mistakes, bro. So, just in that instance, but then, you also got this side, you gotta be a parent too.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's all about balance. I think life is about balance, and you know what I'm saying, just knowing when and when not.
Yeah, and this is what the Mentality podcast is centered around. This is what we build our foundation off of being able to understand that mental health doesn't just start in adult. Your mental health and conditioning your child's mental health is important to focus on that early. So understanding that if you're whooping your kid out of anger, understand that that's going to have a traumatic effect on him. And even you as the parent may need to go back and understand and seek out help, because if you're just whooping them purely off of anger, that isn't the right style of discipline, because you're just putting your traumatic stress and your problems on your kids, and you're just transferring the energy. So I just want anybody to be aware and to think about those things. Physical abuse is never okay, in my opinion. Physical abuse is never okay. It's never the answer. And we're all guilty of it in some form or fashion. Physical abuse, especially to a child that doesn't even understand like what they're doing is wrong, in my opinion, is never okay. So try to find alternative ways to be able to discipline your children, because nowadays, bro, it has gotten to a point that if your kid reports that you're whooping on them, just discipline, you can potentially be in trouble now. Like these are the time we live in now, because
this is definitely the time we live in.
If your kids say, "Man, my daddy just whooped me and I'm bruised or a belt bruise," law enforcement in most cases they don't understand that. Okay, I'm doing this out of love, because physical abuse and quote unquote love abuse, because if you whoop your kid out of love, it's kind of hard to like distinguish the two. You know what I mean? I'm just putting that out there for like parents that don't understand that. So you have to even be careful now, because kids are picking up the phone and calling and saying, "Man, my dad just whooped me." You know what I'm saying? And I have a bruise, and it can just be all of you trying to discipline because they did something horrible. But we have to just be conscious of like of what we're doing, and that's all I'm just trying to say. Because nowadays, bro, like, we live in a different world than we grew up. I got hit with the toolbox, the pen, pan, everything, growing up. And it wasn't right, but I understand that led to traumatic effects later on in my life. And even how I started to discipline my children, because sometimes when I do get angry, you want to go back to, well, my mama whooped me in this situation, so let me just whoop them. But I can't be that. So we have to just understand it and identify that,
absolutely.
for us. So domestic violence is not okay. It shouldn't even be okay. And I want you to quickly tell them, if you are suffering from any abuse of any kind, domestic or any kind, like, what should they do? What's their steps?
If you suffering with any kind of domestic abuse, seek help. Go find somebody that can help you at least exit out of that situation. Like,
right.
If by any means try to work your way out that situation. A lot of people usually end up staying in those situations, bro. And that's the tactic of a person that keeps you confined, especially if you're already getting abused. Like, you stay because you feel that love, but that's might been where your trauma was in your past. So you stay with what's familiar instead of going to what's the new, So definitely try to get help. I don't know how it is with authorities, if you can do like restraining orders, anything like that, but like that domestic, I've seen that a lot, especially in like our community.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's okay. And, like the law enforcement and people that can actually like help separate those two. Yeah, man. Just try to get some help.
That's so important to make sure you try to like find your way out of the situation. But like, it keeps on getting me back to the thinking of like, you don't understand, people out there in America like really don't understand that sometimes that physical discipline is never the way. Because let's say a young girl, every time she gets in trouble as a kid, that she's, get whooping with a belt, let's just say it like that. Every time something happens, she gets whooping with a belt. So now you date a guy and he's putting his hands on you, and he's hitting you and stuff like that. And you just said sometimes like people think that's love. But as a kid, I know I heard it before. I'm whooping you out of love. But in the moment, it doesn't feel anything like the love that we describe as adult. Because if we're adults and you put your hands on me, or I put your hands on you, you know what I'm saying? That's not really love. You have no respect for that person as an adult. And I understand where the parents are coming from, because the parents, are, especially the older generation, that's what you did. You whooped your kids. You disciplined them. But all I'm saying is that be conscious of how you're doing it, and be conscious that it can cause traumatic effect, because a lot of times people do think it's out of love. Well, now I'm an adult and I'm so used to getting whooped every time I get disciplined. Let's say that in your relationship something happened, there's a dispute, and your man put your hands on you. Now you don't even know how to like take that out of like, okay, well, this man has no respect for me, keep putting hands on, because all you ever known was this is out of love. So we just have to be conscious of that. And I just really want to stress that to anybody that's listening right now. Like, if you are putting your hands on someone, it is not okay. And this is my opinion. My opinion is not law. You know what I mean? I just believe that you should try to find other ways to be able to discipline, or other ways to be able to understand that how you discipline isn't a one shoot fits all. But putting your hands on anyone, even a child nowadays, especially now a child, it's not never the best way. Put it like that. So that's just where I'm coming from with it. And I think people really need to hear that, and it's really gonna, resonate with the people that's really understanding that. And I think, we both did a great job with like explaining how we grew up, right? And how we were disciplined, but understanding that you have your own choice and you have your own ways as your own adult to be able to decide if this is going to be for you or not. So that's where we're coming in, and I think that's going to be important for anybody watching.
No, it's definitely gonna be important. You know what I'm saying? Like putting your hands on anybody is definitely not the right. Facts. It's definitely not the right way. So definitely find other alternatives that work for you in your situations, even in your relationships, even in relationship with your kids. What works best for you? But just be mindful, like we said, the whole topic of our conversation is self-control.
Self-control.
Being able to control yourself and having the emotional intelligence enough to know that you're capable of understanding what you feel and what other people can project on you to feel for yourself. So at the end of the day, let's remain conscious of the fact that we have awareness of ourselves and the people around us, and you're always in control of you. Nobody else can control you.
Right. And if you know anybody that's suffering from any kind of abuse or any kind of domestic violence, please reach out to the authorities. Please reach out to family members. Understand that every reaction doesn't require a negative reaction or another physical reaction. If you are in that type of situation, understand that violence is not the answer. You should really try to seek help and get out of that situation for the harm, for the protection of yourself or your children, whoever. So understand that's very important. This is the Mentality Podcast. This your boy, Mr. Obsessed, Austin.
Boy Lee.
Yes, sir.
Hey man, good topic today.
Good topic, man.
We out. Y'all
yes, sir.
Stay tuned in.
Yes, sir. Subscribe to the YouTube, man. Follow us on Instagram, and y'all lock in with us. We got more great content, more great guests coming. Thank y'all for all the support, man. We have hundreds of thousands of views since we started. So many people have subscribed, man. We just want to tell y'all as a conjunction that we love y'all and we appreciate y'all.
Hey, we love y'all, and this is the Mentality Podcast. We out.